Well, Kevin Forrest is actually the young man who started the donations to the Dalton Foundation. Lifelong Bills fan, lives in Grand Island, Nebraska. Made a $30 donation to Andy Dalton's foundation after the Bengals beat the Ravens, and he joins us here on Big Board Sports 104.5 at Team ESPN Radio. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning.
So how does that feel, being identified as the guy who got this whole thing started, and so much money is poured in to the Dalton Foundation? Tell us how this began for you, as I know you're a lifelong Bills fan going back to what, the third grade?
Yep, exactly. Third grade. I was about 9 years old.
All right, so they get the victory. The Bengals do, and of course, prior to that, the Bills get the win. Then you watch what the Bengals are able to do in Baltimore, and then how did you land on this foundation?
Yeah, once the initial shock wore off that, hey, man, we made it, thanks to the help of Andy Dalton and the Bengals, I wanted to try to thank him, so I went to tweet him directly, and then I figured, hey, he's never going to see this, so I just Googled him, found his foundation, saw the mission. Obviously, it's tremendous mission, what they do for people and their families. And hey, I figured here's a good way to pay him back. And said, if I'm going to do this, I might as well, take a picture of it. I'm going to tweet it. I'm going to copy in all the, tag all the media around, Buffalo that I follow to get my Bills news. And, maybe one or two of them will retweet it.
Well, it took off like wildfire. Kevin Forrest with us here. As Roger said, lifelong Bills fan in Grand Island, Nebraska. Grew up in Omaha, right, Kev? But you've made some trips to Orchard Park to go to Bills games. Are we hearing the voice of a Bills fan that was yelling at the TV a lot yesterday?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was happy with some parts, not happy with the whole picture, but...
what has the experience been like, Kev? I know you're mid-30s, right? 34, are you? So the 17-year drought would take you all the way back to high school. What was, aside from the final score, and I know the woeful offensive performance, the experience like of seeing your Bills in the playoffs again?
It was surreal. It was just awesome to see him there. I mean, I know, seeing like McCoy's comments and a lot of the other players after the game, they felt like the game was theirs to win. I mean, I felt happy in the team. I think for the most part, obviously the defense showed up, especially playing through, Micah Hyde getting injured and Milano not being able to play. Everybody thought Fournette's going to, honestly, a lot of people were suspecting Fournette was going to run all over us. And, like that, I want to say it was the 3rd and goal before the Jags scored on that 4th down touchdown. I vividly remember, Lorenzo Alexander just blowing through there and just you could tell, those guys were giving it everything they had. So I'm proud of them. I mean, everybody wants them to go on to play New England, but it wasn't in the cards. I felt like they showed up for the most part, though.
Well, and they got in. Hopefully that's the start of a regular occurrence of this Buffalo Bills team right now. And the most recent account, Kevin, had more than 345,000 to the Andy Dalton Foundation. It really is. Now, I'm sure that it'll calm down now because the Bills are out. I mean, I'm sure Dalton was like really rooting. Hey, get another Cincinnati or get another Buffalo win here, and then keep pouring more money into my foundation because of the victory I got. But it as you mentioned, Kev, it was not in the cards. The other thing I got to ask you, so when you go on and you're going to start the donations, well, tell us further the thought about when you pulled out your credit card, your wife was going, "What the heck are you doing?"
Yeah, and that's not a strange occurrence, of course, but. I just figured, hey, she was in the middle of a conversation. She was just wondering. I said, hey, I'll tell you later. So Lord knows what was going through her mind when I said that.
Well, I'm sure she figured it all out. She was happy that you guys made that donation, and then it took off from there. It's been a lot of fun. We just had a local recovery sports grill with like 8 locations in the capital region. They had a special this weekend. I'm going to find out how much money they actually raised, where they had $19.99 for 17 boneless wings and a bucket of beer, like 5 Miller Lights, and then 17% of the proceeds from noon to 4 yesterday went to Andy Dalton's foundation. We thought that was pretty cool.
That's neat.
Kev, so, when you threw $30 out there, and obviously you tagged, I know all the Chris Brown and Joe Buscaglia and all those guys who cover the Buffalo Bills regularly. When you put that tweet out there, What were your expectations at that moment?
Honestly, I figured it just felt like the right thing to do. I thought this is, especially in a quick thought process, this is the most impactful way that I can pay back Dalton. Obviously, this is something he's passionate about, and I figured if I'm going to do this, I didn't tweet it out there for people to see it and say, oh, he must be a good guy. I just did it because it felt like it was the right thing to do, and I said, hey, if I'm going to do it, I might as well, put it out there so other people can see it.
But you didn't think $345,000 would follow, right?
Oh yeah, never in my wildest dreams.
Who would have ever imagined that? It's
incredible.
I mean, I saw Andy. I was at a breakfast on Sunday morning. I think they had CNN on, and I'm seeing Andy Dalton there talking about the foundation, all the money that's come forward. And you brought up a very good point, and it should not get lost. Is that all the money? It's you know what, this foundation is phenomenal. I know a lot of pro athletes have really good foundations that they support and throw a lot of money at. I mean, you read what this foundation is all about, helping critically ill children. It is money that you gave up for this foundation was definitely worth it for sure. Win or lose the game, that's the thing. Kevin, we appreciate a few minutes here in Albany. I'm glad we were able to recognize the person who started the Dalton Foundation.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks,
Thank you, Kevin.